about fears. Let's talk about love. Yeah, I got fears, but I ain't got no love.
Welcome back to Unsolved No More. Today we're looking at a deep dive. That's right, another one, everybody's favorite. This time it's of Noah Presgrove. I hesitated there because the autopsy report that I read had him listed as Noah Nichols. So it's the same person. I'm sure mom's last name comes into play there somehow. The difference with this case is that it is a newer case. Okay, as you know, I normally don't do that. I like the older cases, it's just how it is. But I was reached out to by a couple of people, including Noah's aunt, to do a video about this. So, as always, I have a hard time saying no to any family members. So that's why I'm doing this. Noah was 19 years old. And it looked like he lived, I want to say, near Comanche, Oklahoma. Not a lot of information available in this case. See how that is? These newer cases, sometimes it's under wrap even more. Older cases, yeah, but through the years, things get leaked out. And once you find that out and, can determine its truth, then you can go ahead and make a pretty accurate assessment. I'm going to let you know up front, I have not come to a conclusion in this case. This case, the medical examiner has deemed undetermined as the cause of death. So we'll get into his findings, some possibilities versus probabilities, some red flags that I see, but unless something comes to me, which sometimes it does in the course of talking this out with you, I'm not going to have a finding just because I think it's not responsible to try to make a determination. Well, not try, you can try, but it's not responsible to make a determination on something when you don't have all the facts. So because of that, I probably will not, but let's get into it. As I said, Noah was 19. He was a white male. His victimology showed me on the surface. Remember, this is just what's reported. And most of the times, things reported in the news, in the media, when something tragic occurs, is not going to make the person look bad. They're not going to say that, whatever it is, the guy was a bully or he was a drug user. I'm not saying that in this case. I'm just saying they're not going to report that. But in this case, well-liked individual, very athletic. I think he ran cross country, football, and then he was a very good wrestler, which I think is important as it relates to this. And I'll let you guys in on that and my thoughts on that as well. Noah was found along Highway 81. I think it's about 30 minutes from Comanche. I'm not familiar with the area. He was laying in the fetal position off of the road. Now, I gotta tell you, the facts of this case is probably the oddest that I can remember encountering. Meaning, he was found naked except for a pair of shoes, but the pair of shoes were mismatched. One was an Adidas and one was a Hey Dude. That alone is odd, but explainable. And the reason I paused there is because I think back to the Teresa Corley case. If you guys haven't watched that, I think I did a week on that. You can go back and look, but I believe she had mismatching shoes on when she was found deceased as well. There was never really an explanation for that, but I think the explanation from that and from this will marry up. Autopsy showed that he had died from multiple blunt force injuries. His ribs were fractured. His skull was split. If you didn't know any better, and just going off of the injuries and where he was found, it is obvious. It would be obvious. You would think it would be obvious that this was a hit and run. However, no debris from a vehicle was found along that road. Now, if this is a hit and run or something different, I think I have an explanation for that, and I'll get into that at the end. But alcohol found in his system, which jives up to him being at a party previously. So, no drugs found in his system. Now, let's go back in that timeline to this party. Noah was at a party, house party. I guess it was 4 days long. That's a heck of a party. But he had gotten into some sort of ATV accident. It was classified as a rollover. I did not see that there were any injuries with anybody he had passengers, and I'm not even sure if he was the driver. But he ends up coming back to this party, gets into a fight with his girlfriend, but even that is controversial because the interview I listened to Noah's brother and an article that I read with, I believe it was Noah's sister, said that he didn't know he had a girlfriend. Noah ends up leaving, and it took me a while to find this, but in an article, it said that he couldn't find his other shoe. So he ended up taking somebody else's that was the same size, which would explain, right, the Adidas and the Hey Dude. He says he's going for a walk. And he leaves, and next day he's found alongside this road on Highway 81. He's found at 05:53, and for those that don't know military time, that is just simply 5:53 in the AM by a passing motorist. So, that's your facts. I'm 8 minutes into this video, and that's all we have. That's all I have. Now, it's very hard to put the puzzle pieces together with such limiting information, okay? Because this reminds me of the Alonzo Brooks case, where he was at a party, black male, with a mostly white, and I think there were some racial overtones to that, and he ended up being dead. And I'll link that one to the end of this, so you guys can watch that if you are so inclined. But I digress. House party. I, as the investigator, as you, obviously, and as they, I'm sure did, you have to go back and interview everybody at this house party. I don't know, like I said, how many passengers, if he was driving, did he sustain any head injuries, maybe not bloody, but maybe concussed, something like that he couldn't find his shoe. Him leaving with two different shoes immediately makes me think of, one, he's angry and wants to get out of that house. Or two, he really didn't care. He just wanted to leave, and he didn't care about his other shoe, which would seemed to me match his personality a little bit more from what I read, kind of laid back. But alcohol will change a person's. I mean, he just got into a fight with his girlfriend, allegedly. That information couldn't have been made up. Somebody had to have said that. So I tend to believe that it's there. Maybe it wasn't his girlfriend, okay? Maybe it's just another female. Maybe it was a female he was with earlier, whatever it is. But I do believe that most likely is true. So I would think that he was angry and he left. Now, because the mention of the word fight, people want to suspect foul play based off of that, and for good reason. It's just like from the Jaws movie. You know, if you're on the beach and you yell, "Hey, barracuda," nobody cares. But you yell shark and you have a panic on your hair on the 4th of July, right? So when you say fight, people think negative connotation. There's no indication that has anything to do with this, but it could, because we have a dead individual, and we can't determine why an individual is dead. Okay, there's natural causes, there's suicide, there's a host of different things, and we can start deducing those things. Hey, it's not suicide. Okay, if it was suicide and he threw himself out in front of something like Tiffany Valente surely did, whether anybody believes me in that assessment or not, she committed it. And in this case, you could possibly say that, but wouldn't the driver have stopped if it was that? Maybe not. Depends. If that driver, if it happened at 2 a.m. and he was intoxicated or had illegal substances in his car, a person, or if they had a warrant, might surely flee and not tell anybody. But what would you see if that was the case? Debris from the car. Okay, so you could rule out suicide, and there was no indications. Victimology would tell you that. Again, though, alcohol has a way of making people think certain things or certain triggers, like in the Valente case. She had both. But I digress. In this case here, not natural causes, not that he's taken his own life. So really, you have accidental, and you have that he lost his life at the hands of someone else, right? So those are the two things that we can deduce it to. Now, which one is it? I don't know. But there's indications to me that it was a hit and run. Now, let me tell you why. Part of his tooth was found pretty in close proximity to his body. Clump of hair was found on that highway. A clump of hair underneath, I believe, his right buttocks. Multiple fractures of the ribs. His skull was split open. The injuries that he received, to me, are indicative of a hit and run. Again, we don't have the debris. Okay? So we have to consider, okay, what's the alternative to that? Let's say homicide, which if it isn't a hit and run and an accident, it has to be the other. How does that occur? Now, remember when I said he was a good wrestler? If there was a fight of some sort, first of all, the people in the house would probably tell you there was a fight in the house and he left. And then this group of people that he's fighting with, much like I think happened in Alonzo Brooks' case, they go after him. They find him walking on the highway, close proximity. They beat him up, they inflict these injuries, and they toss him alongside the road, right? That's one scenario. Possible. I don't believe that that's probable. Now, Another scenario is that an altercation takes place. He gets hurt, knocked out, whatever it is. He ends up walking away, running away. Maybe he just feels, hey, it's too many to fight, whatever it is. And then the car hits him on purpose. No accident. That's surely homicide. Yet, what would you expect to find? Debris. Okay? And we had the absence of any car parts. Now, I've looked at, I would say, maybe 10 hit and runs in my entire career. Only probably 3 that resulted in death. And each one of them did have car debris of some sort. But listen, it's not always going to be the case. Okay? It is not always going to be the case. And let me give you a scenario where that isn't the case. Let's say young Noah here is walking along the road at 2 a.m, dark highway, no lights. What is this, 70-mile-an-hour speed limit? I mean, I was just out west, not Oklahoma, but I can't remember what state I hit, and it said the speed limit was 80 miles an hour. I'm not used to that. That is going very fast, and if you get hit, you're going to have the injuries that Noah has. What if Noah was already laying down on that road or on the side of the road and he gets hit? You're not going to have any debris, are you? But you're still going to have, I think, and I'm not an expert on, injuries as it relates to a medical examiner, but I would still think that you would have those type of injuries. Abrasions, skull fracture, rib fracture from the tire. And I believe what also may support that theory is that initially I found it shocking that he didn't have any broken extremities that I saw. Fingers, arms, legs, where the vehicle would impact you. You see that often. You didn't have that here. And if he's laying down on the road and he gets hit, maybe you wouldn't have those compound fractures or fractures in general. You would have the injuries that he has. Now, I don't like making things fit. I don't want things to fit, hit and run, because that's what it is. I don't know that that's what it is. But I'm trying to come up with theories as to why these type of injuries, no broken bones, no debris. And that would make sense to me. Again, the person not stopping. That's, even if it was an accident, okay? A person not stopping at 2 a.m, hey, first of all, maybe he thought he hit a deer, okay? And he's traveling cross country. He doesn't read the news. He doesn't know that about a teenager dying there. Possible. Probably not probable, but it's possible. Or, more likely, somebody's intoxicated and doesn't want a DUI, and he hit something. He might even turn around and saw that he hit Noah and said, I can't stick around. I got a warrant. I can't stick around. I'm drunk. And he leaves. That's very probable. Now, him being naked, okay, his shorts were found near the body, but from what I read, they were folded, okay? If that's the case, to me, that's indicative of Noah removing them. If something's folded, okay? Not always, okay? And I'm not saying 100%, but that's what I think. Now, you try to come up with why. Why would he himself get naked? And if he did, where are his clothes? Okay, did he leave that party with just shorts and shoes, no socks? I'm sure the police asked all that. But I need to know that. I need to know more. Okay? In order to deduce possibilities to probabilities, to tell a family member, hey, this happened with 100% certainty or 75% certainty. You need more facts. I don't have them here. Okay? What I got is what you've got and the people that have watched. I think this was on Fox News or News Nation. That's what I have, and it's intriguing and it's a mystery. But one thing that you always have to remember is a lot of these mysteries, once you figure it out, let's just say, for instance, Noah took off his clothes because he urinated himself. Not saying that happened. Just bear with me. And he's walking, and he decides to get rid of him. He's intoxicated. He takes them off. Now, I found that I wouldn't do that. Okay, I wouldn't think I would. But doesn't mean Noah wouldn't do it. You get what I'm saying? There's always an explanation as to why something took place. Or he was surrounded by a group of 8 guys, and they wanted to embarrass him, and they stripped him of his clothes. We don't know, right? But his clothes have got to be somewhere. And I certainly would have traced his route, however it is, and I don't even know how far his body is from where that party went. Did he catch a ride with somebody? Listen, I'll be honest and tell you this much, and I'm fairly confident in saying this. The injuries that he received were not from a beating. Remember, I said he was a wrestler. Okay? I believe Noah could probably handle himself, intoxicated or not. Wrestlers are the baddest dudes on the planet. And I wasn't a wrestler. I did wrestle for a year, but I don't claim to be a wrestler. Wrestlers, you know who they are, with those cauliflower ears. You don't mess with them. All right? You're not getting those injuries, I don't believe, from a street fight. Could they have happened from an axe handle cracking him open? Those things, yes. But man, the totality of those injuries, to me, are consistent with a vehicle. You just have to determine why he was naked on that road. I thought of a scenario where he's hit and the offender stops and robs him of his clothing. That's highly unlikely, but I thought about it. Again, with his molar, his tooth being there was indications that 3 pieces of a chain, I'm assuming that means a necklace, was there. To me, is all indicative of whatever happened there. I find it hard to believe he got beat up, whatever it was, overdosed on drugs, even though no drugs were in his system, whatever it is, and people dumped him there in that remote stretch of highway. I would not be surprised to find out that road led to his house. But if it didn't, would that change my mind? No, it wouldn't. Something happened. He wasn't killed somewhere and dumped there. I don't believe. Unless he was killed somewhere, thrown out of a vehicle, and then was hit. He was hit there. He was hit there by a car. I firmly believe that. Okay? But why he got hit, why he's naked, that to me is the mystery. So I wouldn't rule out foul play yet. I just don't know enough. But after I had interviewed everybody at that party, I think you could make a reasonable determination whether that occurred. This ATVA rollover, does it have any bearing in this case? Could, if it gave him a concussion and he was loopy and he just starts, and you couple that with being drunk and he just got into a fight, he's all out of sorts, grabs a different shoe, just leaves, starts walking. Next thing you know, it's dark out. He's an athlete, he's a cross country, he could walk a country mile. And then he gets hit. Maybe there's a certain vehicle where if he was actually walking and the vehicle hit him, not like the mirror, the side mirror, or anything like that, that would not cause any debris to be strewn about the road. Like, I don't know, a Humvee, like a military vehicle or a dump truck, something like that. So maybe a construction worker had the dump truck late at night and he was drinking, hit him. I don't know, just throwing out these scenarios. Or if it was a regular vehicle, a truck or something, Noah laying down, along the road or whatever. Again, I'm not saying that this stuff happened. I'm trying to just give ideas as to what could have occurred. He wasn't shot. Okay? I doubt Noah would have been strangled. He died of multiple blunt force trauma. Certainly there's been people that have died that way in life through a beating, I'm sure. But with those injuries, the long list of it, they look like a victim of a hit and run. And I know the no debris, and I know him being naked throws a monkey wrench into all of it, as it does me. Okay? But I think that is the most likely scenario right now that I see. I could be wrong once more information becomes available to me, if it does. It's certainly odd, to say the least. And the purpose of this video is not to solve the case. It's just to get this information out to people, and hopefully somebody will come forward and say, hey, I talked to a guy in the bar. He told me he was coming home from so-and-so, hit the kid, just kept going. And that's it. You know what I mean? End of story. Or somebody comes forward and said, yeah, there was a group of 3 of us. He made us mad. We beat him with baseball bats. And then we threw him alongside the road. And then a car came along, hit him. We threw him there because he knew he would get run over. And that is what happened. Hopefully, people seeing this will come forward and say something. So, let me go over my template here, see if there's anything I missed. Timeline, house party, found. Shorts were found folded. And again, that could be an error. Somebody could have said they looked folded. And then all of a sudden the media runs with it and say that they're folded, when in fact they weren't. Could he have been knocked out of those shorts? I think so. If that's all that he had on and he was drugged and it pulled him off, possible. I don't know if it's probable, though. Greed, sex, revenge. I have a big question mark there, which one it was. Remember, almost all cases I feel can fall under those. You could probably rule out sexual, right? There's no indication he was raped sexually assaulted, but he was naked. So you have to kind of leave that open, although I find that hard to believe. Uh, Greed or revenge, I can't determine that, and I don't think anybody can determine that yet because we don't know enough about it. So I just left that open. His shoes, like I said, the Adidas and the Hey Dude, but they had grass clumps like in the shoelaces. I read that, so I wrote that down. Could have been from the rollover of the ATV. I don't know. But as I sit here and think about that, if both shoes had that, now I'm concerned because if they occurred during the ATV accident, I'm sure he was wearing his shoes at the time, right? So those two shoes would have the grass clumps in the laces. But if these two have them and they're two different shoes, that would be odd to me. That means that whatever happened with those grass clumps, how they got on those shoes, happened after he left the party and was walking. Something to think about. Naked, only a pair of shoes, unmatching. Talked about that. No vehicle debris, no broken bones that I saw, but had rib fractures. Shorts folded along the road. His body covered up. His brother kept saying that in the interview. That one of the reasons he thought it was foul play was because his body was covered up. I was confused about that. Certainly, if his body was covered up by the offender, it's no hit and run. It still could be hit and run, but that is a lot different than if the medical team, EMS, they covered him up along that road until the investigation was done or whatnot. So I'm just a little confused about that. The way he said it in the interview that I was watching made me feel like he felt that whoever, if somebody did this, they placed some sort of blanket. That would be evidence. You could possibly trace that blanket to a hotel, to a company, whatever it is. I don't think that's the case. I think he either misspoke or I just took it wrong. That cover had nothing to do with anything. But I have it written down here. Tooth at the scene, clumps of hair, the chain being the necklace. That's what I see. Again, it's a new case. Well, 9/4 coming up almost on the 1-year anniversary of this. So it's a good time to get this out. And again, I just wanted to do this for the people that had reached out to me, certainly for the family. I'm sure they have more information, and I'm sure they're going to contact me with that information. And then I'll do a follow-up. But you have to be hesitant. And the reason being is you will hear things, okay? Well, somebody said they were at the party and saw him smoking crack. I'm not saying he did that. I'm sure he didn't. But and then that gets filtered back to the family, and then they'll tell an investigator, hey, well, there was some indications that, he was smoking crack or walked in on somebody doing drugs and then they beat him. Well, see, those are rumors. Okay? I don't deal with rumors. You got to go straight to the source. So my question will be, well, who told you that? Well, so-and-so. Then you go to so-and-so. Okay, where did you hear it from? Well, I heard it from so-and-so. You go to them. Well, I never said that to them. See, that's how it usually goes. You just got to trace it back to the source in order to find if there's validity to the rumor. Now, the further away you get from the crime, if there is a crime here, but there certainly is, because even if it's a hit and run, the person didn't stop. He didn't inflict these injuries upon himself. So there is a crime here. The further you get from that, the more rumors there are, right? So kind of good that you can get into this pretty fresh. But because it's a high profile case, I think, because it was on Fox News and News Nation, that rumors are going to come. All right. They always accompany high profile cases or cases that have been unsolved for a long time. You just got to be smart enough to get rid of the rumors, get to the facts, and that. And then there's some people who will not take an accident as an explanation because something doesn't make sense to them. Okay, I've been a part of that too, where there was a fire and a person that lost their life in the fire, and they wanted to blame the boyfriend who escaped the fire. But it was clearly an accident for a multitude of reasons. Yet, that family wouldn't accept it. No, it's not. It was murder when it was an accident. So I understand where some people are going to say, just like Tiffany Valente, she didn't take her own life. She was murdered. Well, no, she wasn't, because of X, Y, and Z. Now, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Everybody has that right in this country. But it's my opinion. Okay? So just remember that going forward, as you look at these cases, that's what I see. And the Noah Presgrove case, age 19, white male, unfortunate. Totally unfortunate. But there is, and I emphasize this, there is an explanation to all of it. We just have to figure that out. So with that said, hey, thanks for watching. My thoughts and prayers are obviously with not only the family, but the friends and the community where this tragic event took place. We always remember that it's somebody's son, or somebody's kid. Always remember that. So with that said, thanks for watching Unsolved No More. Mains out. Okay, so I just got out of the hospital with some kidney stones. Second time I had that pain is unreal, but anyhow, that's not why I'm here talking. Why I was laying in that bed just a short 4 hours ago, I couldn't help but think about this case. Something that I said earlier that kept resonating with me, especially about the part where I said that his shorts could have been pulled off after he was drugged by a car. See, sometimes in the middle of thoughts, when you're trying to come up with different scenarios, things like that can and will be said. And then when you have time to reflect upon them, sometimes you will see how asinine that theory that you said was. Hence, why I thought it was important to add an update to Noah's video that I was doing. Because the more I thought about that, the more asinine it became. And it got me thinking about Noah having his shoes on naked. And remember, I had made up, the possibility, certainly not the probability, that someone stole his clothes. Realistically, that's an asinine statement as well. But I considered it. I just threw it out as a possibility. But then I started thinking and deducing. And that is always key. I can't stress that enough to investigators coming up. Deducing will get rid of scenarios. Now, for Noah to have his shoes on, but his shorts removed, and we're not talking about his shirt. I don't know what happened with that. I heard nothing about that, but I'm just talking specifically about his shorts being found near his body. To me, he had to have removed them. And I can deduce that by him having his shoes on. You get hit by a car. Whether you're laying down or you're standing up and you're getting drugged, how does your shorts come off and your shoes do not? Right? That doesn't make sense. In that asinine scenario that I threw out as well about someone stealing his clothes, even if that was remotely possible, which it's not, you would have to remove his shoes. If he was wearing pants, you would have to remove his shoes, or the shoes would come off during the process of removing the pants. Shorts, I'm not so sure about, but you get where I'm coming from. The same concept. To me, the more I thought about this, the more it seemed to me that not necessarily Noah, but more than likely Noah removed his shorts and put his shoes back on. Okay? Because if you're getting naked, there's no reason to put your shoes back on unless you're continuing to walk. Now, as absurd as that seems, why would somebody get naked and keep walking? I don't know. People have done crazier things in life, and I don't know that this happened here. But I can say that the more I thought about it, those shorts weren't removed from him getting drugged, because his shoes would have came off too. And to me, it's more than likely the reason the shorts are off and the shoes are on, there was a legitimate reason for that. What that legitimate reason is, I don't know. But it seems like it was probably, and most likely, it's possible, and it's probable that it was from Noah's decision. If that makes sense. Take the shorts off, and the only reason you put shoes on is to continue your travels. You know what I mean? To me, that makes more sense. I just wanted to address it. It was bothering me. So now I have to go and I'm going to have to remove the video that I had put up on Noah that didn't include this. It was out to my members because I think it would be incomplete and irresponsible for me to put it out to the masses without me explaining and giving this brief update. That's just was bothering me while I was laying in the hospital bed. Cases never go away, especially when you have time alone. Continually think, and things come to you. And fortunately for this, I was able to include it in this video now. That's the update. Again, thoughts and prayers to Noah's family. I don't know what happened in this case. Okay? I don't know. Everything that I can think of, I put my thoughts out to you. And if something else comes to me, I'll do another video. But this is an update to the first video. That said, these kidney stones will pass. Cosmo Kramer is he's laughing somewhere at me. Those who know, you know, that's a Seinfeld reference. That said, hey, thanks for watching. Main's out.